I would say that's all you need to know, but I'm sure there was someone else. Why do I feel like I'm forgetting someone?
He holds a finger against his lips, and I can't tell if he's serious or this is all just for dramatic effect. He snaps his fingers in front of him, grinning at me as we walk through a set of double doors.
Oh yes, the assassin. He says he's a spy, but between you and me, I can see him sneaking up on me from a mile away.
He leans in closer to whisper the last part, his eyes glinting with an unmistakable mischief.
Always lurking in the shadows, playing with his knives. You know, this one time I swear I saw him.
Saw me what?
Ah! Damon! Hey! I was just telling the newbie here all about our happy little crew.
Delightful. Please, don't let me stop you.
You know what? I think I hear the captain calling my name. What's that, Cap?
Bash is already halfway across the bridge before I have the chance to say goodbye, leaving me standing on my own at the entrance. Well, not quite on my own, as Damon is still leaning nonchalantly against the wall next to me. I spare him a nervous glance, my skin prickling under his cold stare. The way he's looking me over makes me feel I'm not so much a guest on this ship, but his prey. I wonder, is he really an assassin? Trying to ignore his unnerving presence, I survey the front of the ship. The room is spacious. Control panels spread across the front, 2 seats for the pilot and co-pilot, surrounded by a domed window, and a cluster of seats behind them. I duck my head a little to see through the glass up ahead. The view of Celeota is even more breathtaking from here. I've no idea what the planet we're passing in the distance is, but somehow it makes me feel unnervingly small. A tiny, insignificant speck. Alone in this vast galaxy. The drifting sound of arguing reaches my ears, and a couple of people I haven't yet met, coupled with June and Bash, pace across the room towards us. One man, his presence ominous, stops them all, his voice booming through the space. Over the whirring of engines and the grind of electronics, I can't quite make out what they're arguing about, and I feel a slinking presence beside me. Dark and ominous, and entirely dangerous. Everyone I've met so far has been welcoming in their own way, but this man, Damon, Bash called him, feels anything but. My eyes flick to the side, and I know, even before I see, that he's watching me. Hesitant to be caught in the web of whatever Damon is, I decide to introduce myself to the others and find out exactly what all the commotion is about. Could it have something to do with the hole in the cargo hold Bash and I saw earlier? Whatever it is, I'm determined to find answers on what the hell is going on around here and where I fit into it. I take a deep breath, followed by a step, only to falter at the sound of a raspy voice beside me.
Looks like our little stowaway has lost more than just their memory. You'd be pretty stupid to interrupt that conversation.
After almost tripping on my own feet and righting myself at the last moment, I turn to stare at Damon, wide-eyed.
What's the matter? Cat got your tongue?
He grins at me, wide and wolfish, before flicking heavy-lidded eyes towards something over my shoulder.
Or maybe that goddamn lizard did. Can't believe they let the cowboy keep that disgusting thing. But when I try to bring a cat aboard, they act like I've committed treason.
Damon pauses for a moment, and I find I'm having a hard time deciphering exactly who he's speaking to.
Granted, it was an Aloxian snow tiger, but I failed to see the difference. Still a fuzzy little thing. Even had big doe eyes. Kind of like you.
My face flushes with heat, and I know he knows he's getting to me by the way his lips curl even higher. His amusement seems short-lived, however, as he clicks his tongue, eyes going dark, pupils blown wide.
Preposterous.
I blink at him, dumbfounded, and he grins, revealing straight white teeth that glint through the dimness surrounding us. I'm beginning to have serious doubts about the whole assassin thing until the glint of tarnished metal catches my eye, and I glance warily at the blade balancing idly between his deft fingers.
I'm sure you like what you see, but it's rude to stare.
I'm not staring. I'm trying to decipher why exactly you think you can try to intimidate me.
Try, huh? Keep telling yourself that, sweetheart. I could see your knees knocking from a mile away.
He takes a step towards me, staring me down through cerulean eyes, chin tilted high.
Besides, I think intimidated isn't the only thing I'm making you feel.
My jaw clenches tight, eyes narrowing into utterly unimpressed slits as they drag over him. Who does this guy think he is? Are you always such a jerk?
Always. But for what it's worth, I was only trying to help. Didn't think you'd want to face the wrath of our dear captain on your first day aboard. Not if you want to keep that pretty head attached to that pretty neck.
The scoff that escapes me is dark, deliberate. You call that being helpful? Shrugging, his eyes glaze over with a certain disdain as he watches the group arguing nearby, as if they were nothing more than a mere speck on his radar.
Whatever works.
I start to roll my eyes, before thinking better of it. Whatever Damon is, assassin or not, I'm not sure I want to end up on the wrong side of him. Regardless of how I feel about his help, when the argument between the crew seems to come to a boiling point, I'm almost glad he stopped me. It was most likely a bad idea after all.
You're welcome.
I wasn't thanking you. Damon laughs, a low, dangerous sound that seems made of shadows all of itself. When he cocks an eyebrow at me, I almost consider running headfirst into the commotion after all.
I can tell when people are lying, you know. Some would call it a talent. Some would not.
My eyes go wide at this admission, nostrils flaring with unease.
It's a gift, being able to read people, what they're thinking, what they desire.
Are you talking about telepathy? His smug expression falters, and I would have felt triumphant had I not been busy internally debating if he was actually capable of such a thing. Not that there's anything in my mind to worry about him finding, it's just privacy, you know? He clicks his tongue at me impatiently, disappointed that I would even ask such a question.
Don't be ridiculous. There's no such thing. It's just something I'm good at. Reading people. Figuring out what makes them tick. Telepathy? Nonsense. I call it a life skill. An invaluable one at that.
Damon folds his arms over his chest, that infuriating half-cocked grin sliding onto his lips once again. And how is it that life gives someone that skill?
Now that's none of your business, is it?
I realize quickly that despite the tilt of his lips, there's something strange about his eyes. Something cold. Calculated. My mouth goes dry, stomach churning with unease, and as much as I try, I can't look away. Hard, sapphire eyes pin me down, as sharply honed as the blades I'd seen him balance on deft fingers, now sheathed conveniently close at hand. I feel exposed beneath his gaze, as predictable as an open book, and so vulnerable that I can't even read what's written on my own pages. I tear my eyes away only when he cocks his head toward the group in the middle of the room, his ears perked and trained on their whispered words. I felt a weakness in myself earlier with June, a weakness in limbs that had been unused for far too long. But now they tremble in relief as the weight of Damon's stare leaves me. When my eyes drift over to him again, his mind seems far away. I find myself wondering what kind of thoughts plague his mind. What memories are racing through it to make him seem so guarded? Shaking my head to clear it, I decide it's best to quit asking questions I'm sure he has no intention of answering. I turn to leave, thoroughly done with this conversation and the way Damon's mood chops and changes as quickly as the view from the cockpit.
Where are you going?
A silky voice stops me in my tracks, and when I look at Damon, it's to find him studying me curiously, as if I were some specimen in a laboratory. Back to my room?
But we've only just started having fun. You know what else I'm good at? Finding out what people want. What they really want.
He pushes himself away from the wall, stepping towards me with an unnatural feline grace.
So tell me, Nico, what is it that you truly desire?
His voice still holds what seems to be a perpetually snarky undertone, but when he asks me that, I don't know. Damon narrows his cold, cold eyes, look in them clearly unsatisfied with my answer.
Everyone wants something. It's usually dark, twisted, and secretive. But it's what makes us who we are.
I have no idea what I want.
Liar. I'll find out what it is, sooner or later.
His hooded eyes slide up and down my body, leaving a burning trail in their wake. Is he really hitting on me? You can try, but I doubt you'll get far.
I wouldn't be so sure if I were you.
He shifts against the wall, cocking his head to the side curiously, the fluorescent lights of the ship casting shadows over his sharp features. Being near Damon feels like being stuck between both ends of a magnet. He pushes you away only to reel you back in again with the same fiery intensity. It's maddening, exhilarating, and maybe more than just a little terrifying. I'm still struggling against the ocean of bewilderment he's drowning me in, desperately fighting to keep my head above water, when his cool fingers grab my chin, tilting my face towards him.
I'm always up for a challenge. I do hope you don't disappoint.
I swallow thickly, knowing I'm being lured into one of his traps, yet unable to keep the roguish grin from tugging at my lips. I don't miss the way his tongue flicks over his bottom lip, or how his pupils blow wide when those cold eyes hover over my lips, slowly dragging over my features with practiced ease. He squeezes my chin, just once, before he drops his hand and relinquishes his hold. My skin burns from the contact, the ghost of his touch lingering a few moments longer, and I find myself quite unable to move, to breathe, to do anything other than stand here dumbly and pretend that my insides don't feel like they're slowly but surely caving inwards. Eventually, I clear my throat, awkwardly willing my limbs to loosen, and Damon chuckles at my attempts to compose myself, his eyes gleaming with the prospect of a challenge. I'm still lost in the moment when footsteps approach, heavy set and clipped, and a gruff voice calls towards us.
Reznor!
Damon rolls his eyes, his lips curling into a smirk as he winks at me, blue eyes glinting with amusement. He steps back slowly, one foot behind the other, and sliding his hands into his pockets, he turns, an arrogant grin spread across his handsome face.
Yes, dear.
Is this really the time to be messing around?
Damon gasps, holding a hand to his chest in mock offense.
Messing around? Me? Why, Commander, I would never. You guys look so cozy over there, and you know, I would never want to intrude.
The commander inhales sharply, shutting his eyes and pinching the bridge of his nose in clear annoyance.
Why are you...
He stops, fixing Damon with a dark stare. One that says, "Don't screw with me," among other things.
You know what? This isn't the time for your crap, Damon. I need you to go and do your thing. And tell Bash to get Oppo on the line. We'll be paying a visit.
Yes, sir.
Damon gives a mock salute, pulling on a pair of black leather gloves and looking thoroughly unimpressed at being interrupted. He turns back before he leaves the bridge, sparing a single glance over his shoulder.
Don't wait up for me.
I'm not sure which one of us he's speaking to, and in the end, I decide I'd rather not know.